Switching lead actors isn't just about a different face. It's about rebuilding a whole character to feel seamless in a long-running narrative. With Liam Hemsworth taking over as Geralt in The Witcher, the team at Netflix went all out. First up, the hair and wig team meticulously matched continuity with Henry Cavill's Geralt, but adapted the wig to Liam's unique head shape and hairline. Scar placement was another huge focus. Geralt's scars are iconic. They tell his story silently. Liam's prosthetics team studied Cavill's scars from every angle and reconstructed them so the transition would feel invisible. Even subtle lighting shifts couldn't give away that this was a new actor. Armor was a massive part of the rebuild too. Liam has a different body type than Henry, so every piece had to be reshaped. The team adjusted chest plates, gauntlets, boots, and belts so they fit snugly but still allowed full mobility for fight sequences. Choreographers spent hours with Liam to perfect sword movement, ensuring that his swings had the correct weight, timing, and momentum that Geralt's combat style requires. Every flick, parry, and thrust needed to feel earned and consistent with past seasons. Then there was the vocal work. Liam didn't just copy Geralt's growls, he crafted his own guttural, world-weary tone while staying true to Geralt's cadence. Table read images and the Netflix first look footage show the dedication to nailing Geralt's voice, confirming that this isn't a casual replacement, it's a full rebuild, head to toe. Once Geralt was rebuilt, the production ran stress tests to make sure everything worked under real conditions. These tests were basically intense, full-dress rehearsals. The stunt team, costume department, and VFX crew all came together to see if Liam's hair, scars, armor, and voice held up when everything else was happening around him. One major stress test involved a sequence from the Wraith teaser clip. This mini-combat scene had Liam in full armor, swinging swords and interacting with a partially CGI Wraith, which allowed the team to test wig durability, prosthetic stability, and armor mobility. They also measured how Liam's vocal delivery held up mid-action. Could he sustain the low, world-weary growl while ducking, rolling, or parrying? Did the armor chafe or restrict movement during prolonged sequences? These stress tests were crucial because, unlike table reads, real fights expose every weakness in costume, prosthetics, and choreography. By the end of these sessions, the team had a checklist of what worked and what didn't, ensuring that Liam's Geralt could function in all on-set scenarios. Filming fight scenes is tough enough on its own, but throw in night shoots and suddenly everything gets about 10 times more complicated. Season 4 really leaned into these night battles, and the end result looks gritty and intense on screen. But behind the scenes, it really was a serious juggling act of stunts, props, practical effects, and good old-fashioned patience. The big thing the team focused on was keeping things practical whenever possible. CGI can make anything look flashy, but there's just something about real blood packs and props breaking on impact that sells the chaos in a way computers can't. For these fights, blood rigs were pre-installed on costumes and around the set. That meant every squirt, spray, and splatter had to be timed perfectly with the action. Then you've got breakaway props. Chairs, railings, tables, basically anything that was meant to shatter during the fight had to be carefully prepped. Once a piece broke, that was it, which meant the crew always had backups waiting just off set. One wrong swing or a mistimed stunt could wipe out a prop before the cameras were rolling. So they had to plan every beat meticulously. This leads to what the crew jokingly calls reset math. Every time something got smashed, blood sprayed, or a weapon bent out of shape, they had to pause and calculate how long it would take to reset. That meant replacing props, mopping up fake blood, moving crash mats, and even redoing lighting setups if splatter hit the wrong spot. The scheduling had to account for all of this, and while that might sound like a drag, it's the price of making these fights feel raw and chaotic, without actually being dangerous for the cast and crew. At the end of the day, safety always comes first, and that means taking the extra time to reset properly. Laurence Fishburne's debut as Regis in Season 4 of The Witcher was one of those moments where everything just clicked, the kind of introduction that feels big without leaning too hard on spectacle. The creative team clearly wanted to make sure Regis came across as a person first and a vampire second. That human-first design philosophy shows up everywhere, from the way his costume was built to the little VFX touches layered on top. Instead of making him some over-the-top, monstrous figure, they gave him a presence that feels lived in, believable, and immediately intriguing. The costumes really set the tone. The muted color palette, grays, browns, and deep earthy tones makes him blend naturally into the Witcher universe. Every detail, down to the cuffs and stitching, feels purposeful, adding to his grounded aura. Even the way his clothing drapes or folds carries that sense of mystery and quiet authority. Makeup and prosthetics also played a huge role, but in a way that's subtle. They hinted at his vampiric nature with little details, a slightly otherworldly texture to his skin, faint shifts that suggest something beneath the surface. It never tips into cartoonish or monster movie territory. In fact, the restraint is what makes it work so well. When you do notice those small changes, it's striking because it feels rare and controlled, almost like Regis is letting us peek behind the curtain. Of course, Laurence Fishburne himself brings so much to the role that heavy CGI would have just gotten in the way. The showrunners clearly knew that, because they rely on camera work and sound design to enhance his natural gravitas. Strategic close-ups focus on his expressions, catching every micro shift in his eyes or the way he holds himself. Lighting is carefully designed to emphasize his silhouette and posture, making him seem larger than life without special effects doing all the work. And the sound design? That's where a lot of the magic sneaks in. Ambient cues like a low hum or a subtle shift in background noise add weight to his entrances and movements, reminding you that Regis isn't just another face in the crowd. When Netflix released those first-look images, fans immediately picked up on how different Regis felt. The layered costume, the muted palette, the quiet confidence in Fishburne's stance, it all told a story before he even opened his mouth. The combination of costume, makeup, VFX, and smart cinematography meant that Fishburne could simply be Regis, without any digital crutches. His natural presence does the heavy lifting, commanding attention with nothing more than a look or a pause. The Linh Pattern bridge battle in Season 4 is one of those sequences where you can really feel the scale of what the production team pulled off. It's about all the moving parts that had to line up perfectly to make the scene feel epic and safe. First off, any scene with water, horses, and big stunts is already a nightmare waiting to happen. The crew knew that, which is why safety was the #1 priority from the start. Every horse and actor was rigged with harnesses, and crash mats were hidden just out of frame. Water safety teams were literally on standby at all times, ready to jump in if anything went wrong. For the trickier shots, instead of relying on the actual lake, they used water tanks where they could control the depth and flow. That meant they could shoot close-ups of actors thrashing in the water without the risk of strong currents pulling anyone under. Very smart. Then there's the bridge itself, which was basically its own character in the fight. The production team reinforced it with modular sections that could break safely during the action. That allowed for those jaw-dropping moments where planks splinter underfoot or sections collapse dramatically, but without anyone actually taking a dangerous fall. It's a perfect example of movie magic. It looks wild, but behind the scenes it's carefully engineered to keep everyone protected. Weather added another layer of complexity. Since they shot the sequence over multiple days, they couldn't just rely on natural conditions to stay the same. So they brought in rain rigs and wind machines to create a consistent, stormy atmosphere. That way, even if one day was bright and sunny and the next was overcast, the final cut would feel like a single, continuous battle. It's one of those details you don't notice when you're watching, but if they hadn't done it, the whole thing would feel choppy. Season 4 of The Witcher highlights just how much care goes into every layer of production. Liam Hemsworth's Geralt is carefully reshaped through stress-tested armor, voice, and combat, ensuring continuity while making the role his own. Night fights bring gritty realism with practical rigs and precise resets. Regis arrives with a grounded, human-first design, while the Linh Pattern battle showcases hybrid filming that balances spectacle with safety. From wigs and scars to water stunts and prosthetics, every detail serves the story. The result is a season that elevates cinematic scope while keeping characters authentic, immersive, and unforgettable. Thanks for watching Collider. See you next time.